Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you remember the story on the black pastor that was watering flowers for a neighbor that went out of town, and the police came along and arrested him. So he has officially filed a lawsuit against the police. Good for him. I'm glad he did it. None of this really should have happened if the police weren't so petty when it comes down to the black community. And because you're so petty, it's actually very easy to sue you. So a black pastor who was arrested by Alabama police while he was watering his neighbor's flowers filed a federal lawsuit Friday against the city and three of its officers. Michael Jennings, a longtime pastor at Vision of Abundant Life Church. And you remember he was detained on May 22nd by Childersburg officers responding to a 911 call about a suspicious person. Yes, you know how it is. Black means suspicious. Jennings was charged with obstructing government operations after police accused him of failing to respond to their request to provide identification. The charges were dropped in June. He said in a lawsuit in the Northern District of Alabama that his arrest was unlawful and violated his Fourth Amendment rights, and he's absolutely right about that. The suit named Officer Christopher Smith, Justin Gable, and Jeremy Brooks as defendants, along with the city of Childersburg. Jennings said in a news conference Saturday that he felt the officers already figured I was guilty by the way he questioned me and the way he talked to me. One thing I want to make crystal clear: I'm not anti police. We need the police. I don't think we do, but that's my opinion. Without the police, we have full chaos. Actually, we got full chaos with the police around. So that's not true. It's violent everywhere in America, and the police are present. They have been an entity since the days of chattel slavery, and the violence have never gotten better with them around. And I think a lot of people sort of miss that. So when you say if you don't have the police, it would be full of chaos, it's full of chaos having them around. But there's a bad police and there's good police, if you say so. But what they did that day, they did with impunity, figuring there would be no action taken against them. I felt dehumanized. The ordeal began when Jennings' neighbor, a white woman, called 911 to report a suspicious person, the lawsuit said. So that y'all were right. That was probably the woman that walked up and was talking to the police. I bet you she was the one that called. And then, of course, trying to be the hero and say, well, they are friends and he's probably doing this because they're out of town. Yeah, did you make that phone call? Because if she did, he really should include her in that lawsuit too. All right. In a video released last month, Jennings was outside a home watering flowers when Officer Smith approached him and said uh, he was asking him what he was doing. He said watering flowers, and he sure did because I remember him saying that on the video. The pastor responded as he pointed a watering hose at the shrubbery. Jennings went on to explain that the neighbor had made the request. They were friends and he was just looking out for her home while she was out of town. So I'm supposed to be here. So he already had the neighbor's permission to be on the property. I'm Pastor Jennings. I live across the street, he said, according to the video. I'm looking out for the house while they're gone. Jennings relayed the same information to Officer Gable when he arrived on the scene. according to the lawsuit. And that's not unusual. You know, when I lived in once upon a time in a location called Atco, New Jersey, one of my neighbors went out of town and they had a dog just like we did. And all I did was just walk across the street, let the dog outside, and I gave the dog food. You know, they didn't want to put the dog in a kennel because they had a previous dog and they went on vacation and their dog actually died in the kennel. So they didn't want that. So it was just me and another neighbor. We kind of took turns and went over there and looked after the dog. And everything worked out just fine. So it's not unusual for people to request a neighbor or somebody on the street that they trust to watch over their house while they're gone. I mean, those things happen all the time. So I don't know why this was so out of the ordinary for these police to believe. Yeah, it was out of the ordinary because it was a black man. We know why. So anyway, Officer Smith, he was asking Jennings to provide identification. The video showed Jennings refused and said he hadn't done nothing wrong. And he's right, he didn't break no law. How the hell is watering somebody's flowers a crime? You know, and see, this is what a lot of people complain about. When real crime is going on, they're nowhere to be found. But some petty mess is going on, they'll gladly show up for some mess like that. This should not have even been something that the police responded to. As soon as they heard, oh, there's a man watering flowers across the street, they should not have even responded to something that petty. But they will respond to something that petty because I'm sure they heard the word black man in the 911 call. So, anyway, he just walked away and he continued to water the flowers, and we saw that. And Gable and Smith placed him in handcuffs, according to the lawsuit. It accused Brooks, the last officer to arrive on the scene, of telling Jennings that he needed to listen to police and shut his mouth. Wow. How about not showing up for a petty call and going out to a real crime? Nothing that man was doing was a threat to the neighborhood. Nothing he did at that house was a threat to the home. How is this even worthy of a cop showing up on this type of call? The woman who called the police tried to defuse the situation by apologizing to Jennings and tell the police, I told you it was the woman. Y'all were right. My subscribers were right. They said that woman that walked up and started talking to the cops, she was the one that called the police. See, y'all better than detectives, for real, you know? And I kind of thought the same thing. But at the time when I did the video, I wasn't 100% certain, and they didn't really write much about how involved that woman really truly was. They just kind of showed her trying to defend him to the police, but they never said she was the one that made that call. But they are saying it in this article. Okay, so you're going to call the police and then try to be a hero at the scene. Oh no, he's okay. Well, you should have seen that before you called 911. Y'all all live on the street and you don't recognize one of the neighbors on your street all of a sudden? Oh, some strange people, that's for sure. All right, so Jennings' wife also arrived on the scene and showed the police her husband's identification, the video showed. Despite this, the officers refused to see that. Wait a minute. They got on him for not showing ID, right? His wife shows up with his ID and they still refuse to release him. So they already had set in their mind they were going to take this man in no matter what. You see how slick these people are? So Despite this, the officers refused to release Pastor Jennings from their custody and took him to Childersburg City Jail. And then he was booked and transported to Talladega County Jail. The lawsuit said this is just overkill. This is seriously overkill. So he was fingerprinted, his mugshot was taken, and he was booked into the county jail before his wife bailed him out, according to the lawsuit. All of this over watering flowers? You know, y'all think about this. They did all of this over watering flowers, but they stood around in Uvalde while those kids were being killed. Somebody that was a real threat. They did not rush in and go after, but they rushed in and went after somebody watering flowers. Unbelievable. Talk about not having your priorities right. No wonder why it's so violent in America. They focus heavily on things that don't matter. Under Alabama law, an officer may stop any person abroad in a public place if they suspect that the person is committing or has committed or is about to commit a crime. How is somebody about to commit a crime with a water hose in their hand outside watering flowers? How is that about to commit a crime? Please explain. Y'all some petty ass demons. So, anyway, attorneys for Jennings previously said their client did not have to provide identification because he was not in a public place. Right, he was on private property. That is very true. The police department in the city of Childersburg did not respond to phone calls and emails Saturday requesting comment about Jennings' arrest or lawsuit. Efforts to reach the three officers by phone Saturday were not successful. So, y'all, that is the update on this story. Please tell me what you think in the comment section about this whole ordeal. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, 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 family.